So today's dish takes me personally back to Thailand, but originates from other places like Malaysia or the Philippines, and it's chicken satay. So with this dish, I've actually chosen chicken breast, and I've de-skinned it and deboned it. The thing with this dish is that the satay sauce itself is predominantly made of peanuts and of coconut. Both of those things are quite high in fat. So really, if you want to choose a healthier option, you would be better to choose something like chicken breast or turkey over the fattier meats like pork or even chicken thigh has got a substantially higher fat rate than breast. This today will go with some lovely brown rice and some chili soy tender stem broccoli. And as a vegan alternative, I'm going to show you how to prep a little butternut squash instead of your chicken breast. So quite a hearty dish. So the first thing you want to do is you want to marinate your chicken breast, preferably overnight. As I've mentioned before, chicken breast does very well when it's marinated for quite a long time. And also I'm going to butterfly this. I think it'd be a really nice addition. Traditionally, satay is made on chicken skewers and can be put on the barbecue, but for today's recipe, we're just going to butterfly it open. So for the marinade for your chicken breast, I'm going to go in with some Madras powder, some turmeric and ground coriander all mixed together, a little bit of garlic puree that I've blitzed up earlier, and some salt. I'm getting stuck right in. Again, guys, don't be afraid. You want to cover every single bit of that chicken. So now we've successfully made a mess, we're going to clean that, stick it in the fridge overnight, preparation for tomorrow. So your butternut squash is super easy to prepare. What we're going to do is we're going to top and tail it. We're going to peel it. There we go. Usually you'll notice a butternut squash has more of a thinner end and more of a base. The base is where all the seeds are kept. So what you want to do is you want to kind of go a third in, so you're missing, it's between the base where all the seeds are and the rest of the butternut squash. This whole thing is no seeds, so that's really nice. And then we can prepare this end, cutting it in half and scooping the seeds out. So now they're all de-seeded, just go right in and put them into slices, straight down the middle. So now they're at the size I want them. I'm going to put them in a little roasting dish. You want to preheat your oven to about 180 degrees. For about 10-15 minutes and it should be fine. I'm going to go in with the same kind of marinade that we used for our chicken. So turmeric, ground coriander, Madras powder, bit of garlic. So this puree, I blitzed up garlic and olive oil earlier. And then some sea salt. I'm going to mix that all together. Getting messy again. Covering everything. So now that is completely covered with all of our little dry marinade, I'm going to pop it in the oven to roast. So you want to get out your pre-prepared chicken. This is the easiest thing in the world. I've lined a baking tray with some parchment, and I'm quite literally just going to place the butterfly chicken breast on it. I'm doing it so that the inside of the chicken breast is facing up. It just has a really nice sort of finished result. And that is going to roast in the oven for about 15 minutes. Chicken breast is a little bit, if it's just a tiny bit under, even just a minute under, then it will have a funny texture and just not be very nice. If it's 1-2 minutes over, it can start to go really dry. So your best bet is 180 degrees, 14 to 15 minutes, and that's all you need. So whilst your chicken and your butternut squash is in the oven, taking care of itself, roasting away nicely, we're going to get on with our rice. A lot of recipes again will use traditionally more white rice, but brown rice has high fibre, so we're going to use that. I'm using 60 grams per person for this one and about double the amount of water to rice that you need. Stick the heat on medium and lid on, very important. And then that will do its thing, that will take about 15 minutes as well. In that time, we can start making our peanut satay sauce. So for your satay sauce, we've got here 100% peanut butter, literally just 100% peanuts. Buy this in the supermarket or make it yourself. The kind of brands in the supermarket I like that are the best for you, no palm oil, that sort of thing. You've got Meridian and you've got Pip Nut, that's my favourite and that's what we're using today. We've got dried chilli flakes and fresh chilli. Fresh lime, very important to lift this dish. A blend of my garlic and chilli. Coconut milk. Sesame oil and soy sauce. I'm using gluten-free soy sauce. You can buy any kind, dark, light. Dark is best, and like I say, gluten-free is also perfect. So we're going to put our pan on to a medium heat. Lovely, we're going to wait for that to heat up a little bit. You can chop in to your chilli. I'm just doing thin slices and I'm keeping the seeds in because I like it quite fiery. So the first thing you want to do is go in with your garlic and ginger paste, your dried chilies. The good thing about putting the pastes in first is it brings out all of the flavours, so you'll get a much more fragrant end result. There you go. So you want to have that really nice and sizzling away. Cut our lime. So when I was in Thailand, I learnt some dishes, and the main thing that I learned was how to balance and season a dish very well with some main components that in Asia they use a lot. So you're trying to balance your sweet, your spice and your acid together. So for something like a tom yum, you would use lime juice, soy sauce and dark sugar to create that beautiful balance and fragrancy. So for here we're going to use that exactly the same concept. So you'll notice that I've got my soy sauce, I've got my fresh lime juice, but it would be the kind of sweetness that you get from your peanut and your coconut that are going to balance that flavour here. I'm going to take out the sugar that's used traditionally just to keep it a little bit healthier. So now that is sizzling really nicely, we're going to add some soy. Soy is quite a lovely base and one of the main bases for your seasoning, so don't be afraid of using more than you think you need. And now we're going to go in with our peanut butter. So to keep this calorie controlled, what I have done is get down to the gram how much peanut butter I'm able to use in this dish to keep it at 500 calories. And that turns out to be 8 grams per person. So if you go on that rule of thumb, you've got 8 grams per person of peanut butter to use, then you won't be going too far over your calories. This smells insane. So you want to keep that stirring because peanut butter will catch if you leave it too long. So regular stirring so you can incorporate it all. And once that's done, you can go in with your coconut milk. Your coconut milk, when it comes in this format, it will have a separation. Today it's because it's quite cold, so you've got the fat that's on the top and then the juice that's underneath. Don't be afraid of this fat, it's natural fat, it's really good for you. And it's at this point you can swap your spoon out for a whisk to give you a little bit more control over this sauce. And you want to blend it all together. It's really blending together. And then that will go on a bit of a lower heat and we'll just reduce it down a little bit. So at this point, very important, you taste it, adjust your seasoning. So as I say, if you do it whilst you're cooking, it's much better than if you forget and then you do it afterwards. It helps a much deeper layer of all the flavours. Okay. Yeah, at this point I'm just going to go in with a little bit more soy sauce, but all that's missing, I know exactly what it's missing, our lime. Without the lime, this it might as well be, you don't eat it, just don't eat it. So all you want to do is you want to put your lime in towards the end of the cooking process, which is the stage that we're at now. And I'm just going to go for it. Squeeze. You can actually put the zest in as well if you want to. I like this fresh, zesty juice. Again, it's always one of those things. It's a little bit more than you think you need. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Our rice is bubbling away nicely. Bubbly, bubbly. And that sauce, dare I say, it's done. You can just leave that to rest while everything else is still cooking. Next, you want to deal with your tender stem broccoli. And what you can do is just chop them all in half. So you're going to go with a pan on a medium heat, a little bit of sesame oil, and again, a little bit of garlic puree in there. Sizzle. Maybe slightly unconventional, but we're going with a bit of water. That will help to get our broccoli nice and tender. For the French would use a blanc, which would include an awful lot of butter. However, we're trying to steer clear of that. So we're just gonna season this water with our sesame, garlic, and some soy. You can steam your broccoli if you want to, and you can just saute some chili, garlic, soy, and then mix it together at the end, or you can do it this way. Get that nice and heated, and then we just go in with our little tender stems. They're gonna do their thing. Piece de resistance, coriander, very fragrant. You either love it or you hate it. Apparently some people taste it differently. The taste buds are different. But if you do like it, I highly recommend you use it. And again, because it's a very fine, delicate leaf, we're not gonna chop it too much. Don't wanna turn it into a paste of its own. Just gonna slightly chop into it there like that. And that is all done and prepared. So now I'm gonna check on the chicken. And that is looking beautiful. We're gonna let that rest for about 10-15 minutes and it'll be perfect. As an alternative to the chicken breast, I've done some roasted butternut squash in the marinade. A little more higher in carbs, but an amazing and really filling, nutritious change up for vegans and vegetarians, different from a chicken breast. Everything else can stay exactly the same, but you just swap it out for something. You can choose a completely different vegetable if you'd like. You can also add some lentil, chickpeas if you want to increase the protein just slightly. But there you have it. I found that this is the best option to go for this dish. It matches perfectly. So your tender stem is looking absolutely phenomenal. It's nice and tender, but still a little bit al dente, which is perfect. What it's doing is it is soaking up all of that flavour that you've put in that liquid to begin with, and just starting to almost char in the pan, which is going to add to the flavour massively. So once it's at that stage, you can see there's like barely any liquid left. You can just let that rest, and all of that lovely flavour is going to be like magic. It looks like our rice is done now as well. Let that stand and steam about 10 minutes. And we're going to put it together. You want your base of your rice. This will help soak up any of the extra juices and flavours that you've got. But you can have it controlled. Most of the time I'll have it without rice, which is just as nice. A little bit of your broccoli. Can even pour a little bit of that excess on there. So you can choose to plate your chicken breast just as a whole butterfly, or you can slice it. So I'll slice one. You want to go against the grain and long slices with your knife. Use your knife. Don't push down. You'll just get raggedy edges. You're doing harder work. Let the knife do the work. And then we can just pick that up. So a whole breast per person might sound like an awful lot, but you will thank me for it. And then the naughty bit. Food porn does exist. And if you really want, really want, just to finish it off, an extra squeeze of lime. So there you have it, all done and ready to eat. And as I say, a lot of recipes will usually have quite tons of spices, tons of things you need to go and get. This is probably the simplest. I can make it for you and still be phenomenally delicious. So all you need to do is find a fork and dig in.